Hello, everyone. This is Victoria Pilati from the Center for the Women of New York. I'm here with Susan, a hairstylist who has much experience with domestic violence cases in her shop. And each time that I've spoken with her, I learned something new about how to see the signs and how to help women. So, Susan, can you tell me what it is that gives you the knowledge that a woman needs help, that she is having difficulty in her relationship?
Well, it's definitely the way they appear at my salon. Some of them are sad. Some of them are want a drastic change, or some of them have bruises. Sometimes I have the bruises like bumps on the scalp. So you ask sometimes, oh, you hit your head over here because it's like, you have a bump here. Oh, yes, and they lie. They start lying. So then you start talking about yourself a little bit, and then they feel more confidence, and some of them start telling you. Some of them just listen very careful what you're saying, and some of them come with the partners. And when I ask them, what would you like to do to your hair, the partners right away answer that question. Or if I propose like 3 different styles, they right away turn their head to the husbands, and the husbands say like, oh, I think it's short or long or whatever. They control that part very much, Or some of them says that, oh, no, I cannot do that color because my husband then he's not gonna like it. So that's another type of controlling when they need the approval for the partners. It's very different than when they say, like, oh, my mother says that looks good on you, that your husband or boyfriend tells you what they want for you. That's how I more or less can see if they mean abuse.
Now, let's talk about the physical signs. Something you pointed out to me that I didn't even realize was a way to physically harm a partner. You would see bald spots in the scalp. So can you talk about that and other physical signs?
Yes, it's a very different type of bald spots. Ones that, you can tell that the hair was ripped, and some like for alopecia. Alopecia is completely different. You looks like it's like your skin, like your palm of your skin. Like you can see this nice and soft. But when it's ripped, some parts are long, some parts are short, and some parts are like you see signs of blood. Like when you rip the hair, you can tell. So sometimes I point it out. I say like, oh my gosh, over here looks like your hair was sticking something, and pull it out. It looks like really bad. Some of the person can start crying and start telling you what's going on, or some of them just ignore it or invent any stupid excuse sometimes, like, oh no, my hair gets stuck in my car, and then when I pull it up with force, or my brush gets stuck in there, and I pull it up very hard, like you wanna, harm yourself that way, patiently or with a scissors you can cut your hair, but not rip it like that way. When somebody pulls your hair, you can tell.
And you also see other types of physical abuse. What else have you seen in the years? Oh, and by the way, tell our listeners, how long have you been in this profession?
I'm in this profession 20 years.
Okay, so in the 20 years, tell us some of the other physical signs, and then the next question will be about the behaviors. But the physical signs that you've seen besides the ripped hair from the scalp, the bald spots.
Well, sometimes when I see somebody that come to my chair and they have very difficult way to sit down, like they need to hold their hands because I do so much exercise and I did something to my back, and you say like, okay, but then you see them like really sad, and then don't talk that much, or they don't want to answer the phone, so something's going on there. So then you try to get some information just to help. I mean, that my That's what I try to do. Try to help them, try to talk to them, try to put some examples for somebody else, and then they start talking. But to see really bruises in the face or in the arms is very difficult because an abuser, they know where to hit. They know that, in the stomach you're not going to see anything, or that's what they do.
Well, it reminds me of one of the signs of child abuse as well. When the child has difficulty sitting, they've been hit there, or some of them have been sexually abused.
Yes.
So some of these women are also sexually abused by their partners. They have violent sex with them. Would you guess that?
Yes, definitely. I mean, you can tell the person looks so sad and they want a drastic change, and then you notice they won't been crying for a while. Something is going on. So before you do something drastic, you always ask questions or try to say, okay, let's start with the color, just in case they want to cut the hair really short, or giving some ideas to don't do that, because after all the problems pass, then you regret your hair color, or you can get in more trouble if you do something drastic and then your partner doesn't like it and they can hit you and something like that. So you prevent those things. I try to prevent those things.
And I remember you're telling me that, in particular, one woman, you had to sort of intervene in the phone call she was having with her abusive partner because your appointment was running a little late. That was a big issue with him. So I remember you getting involved by saying very loudly, "Oh, I'm about to blow dry your hair," things like that. So can you be more specific on how you helped her get over that that conversation, that control conversation with her spouse?
Yeah, she started first by saying like how long it's gonna take, because I need to do so many things at home. And I said like, okay, it's gonna take it regular, like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. I said like, okay, and then when the hour and a half was passed, they were like, okay, I need to call my house, because she was very nervous. So she called the husband, like saying, "Hi, honey, how are you?" And then I start saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna about to blow dry your hair," and I start to turn on my blow dryer to hear that she was at the hair salon. And then I said, "Okay, I'm gonna take another 30. How long, Susie? 35 minutes. Okay, honey, I'm gonna be late 35 minutes." So I have to say, she prepared me first to say like, "Please, just talk like you are talking to me," and then when I was talking to him, because I want to hear that I'm here and I'm not in another place. And I was like, I mean, seriously? I mean, you have to do that? That's another form of abuse and controlling. Because if you're going to pamper yourself at the salon, you can take the time if you want, and if you prepare your house before you go, and and your partner have to understand. But no, she was very, and all the time he'd pick her up, and he was constantly calling or texting. It's like saying things like she was, "Oh, he's jealous," or she would try to put excuses on him.
So, but you had to prove that she was actually in a salon to him.
Yes.
He did not believe her that she was running late, that your appointment was running late.
Yes, I have another client who the husband actually called me on my cell phone saying like, "Oh, I need to speak with, this person." I was like, "Oh, yes, I'm her husband. I know she's there." I said, "Okay, give me 1 second. Your husband." I said, "Oh, okay." And then I was like, "Okay, what's going on here?" Because, you have a cell phone. He have a cell phone. "Oh, maybe I don't have a sign." Or maybe, "Oh, my phone, the battery went off," or things like that, And you can tell it's not like that because you see her texting and in her sites all the time. And then the husband called me. And I'm like, "But you have, okay, I know you have your cell phone available." And then you start talking, You start talking and put examples of some other persons. And some of them, they listen to you. They pay attention. They ask you, where I can go. But a lot of them, they not going to say anything. But at least you talk to them. And, as soon as they get strong, they can make a decision to talk or look for help.
And in the 20 years in this profession, can you estimate how many women have had these signs, these behaviors in your chair?
What I remember, and I knew something was happening, and they opened to me and talk, at least 10. But there were more than 10. Definitely more than 10 women that being abused.
More or less, how many women act differently than the average client?
How many
Women have you seen behave that way?
Maybe a 10% of my clientele, which is very sad.
It is very sad. It is very sad. And what's even more sad, I asked you if any of them are calling you now, post COVID, post isolation,
No.
post social distancing, and now that the beauty salons have reopened. You sadly said,
No, no, they are not calling me. They are not sending me message. I know they need their hair. I know they need something, but they are not calling me. The people that I think they're being abused, they are not calling me right now to come to their houses.
here's my theory on that. There's been a lot written about the abuser in the COVID isolation setting worldwide, uses the excuse of the virus and contracting it by keeping the survivor indoors even when they are allowed by regulations, by science, by data to leave the home. It's just another way to control.
Yes.
They are so used to having the public excuse of not leaving the home that they don't let them leave the home. So I think they're staying home because they are not allowed to get their hair done anymore. My other theory is that the physical signs of abuse are much more prevalent because of all the time the abuser has spent with the survivor, and is also maybe in a state of their own depression and mental anxiety from losing work, losing pay, losing income. I think the physical abuse escalated more so than prior
Yes.
to the isolation in the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's really sad because I was hoping they would be calling you and they would be getting some help. But we need to speak about how to help these women. We can't ever say, why don't you leave the person? They can't leave. They have so many reasons not to leave. And they are surviving and they are making do and they are finding ways to live with the abuser. But we can suggest what you've done. You've given them the 800 number.
Yes.
To the National Domestic Violence Hotline. So don't you think that our listeners should always have that number available?
Definitely. And putting on the websites or putting on, your personal business cards, like not for abuse, but you can point it, it's over here is help, or you can go to my website and you can find a lot of other, research about domestic violence, or if you have a friend, here's a number. Talk about this to everybody because everybody knows everybody who being abused.
Yeah.
So to tell even a client who's not even, having no problems or maybe no husband or not, they always know somebody. So to give the information to all your clients, I think we can help a lot of women over there. And
right. And men, we have a lot of good men, and they can see the signs too in their sisters' relationships, in their daughters' relationships. They have women who they care about. So we do need to educate men and women. But we do need to be careful how we do it.
Yes.
Because if we hand them the hotline in a way that the abuser can find it. So we have to, or if the abuser is in the shop with you too, we have to be so careful how we give them this information. And one thing our listeners need to know is that your situation is also ideal for helping these survivors. In your shop, you are very strict about your appointments, so there's very little overlap with other clients waiting for their appointments. So women, especially women, right? We do have a males who are survivors as well, but in your case, you have seen only women
Yes.
who have been abused. So the women sitting in your salon chair, they have that privacy. They have that security that no one else is listening.
Yes, they have the opportunity to talk and being saved. Yes.
Yeah, and there's no other stranger, no other client listening, no other hairstylist listening, no other cosmetician. So it's unique to you. So it is more difficult in more than one person salon to do what you do, but there are ways because so many of our beauty enhancement professionals have such a relationship with their clients that they do text each other, they do call each other. So perhaps they could find some of these code words that they can develop together in that quiet moment when no one else is listening and can be that support. But again, it would be best if, unlike Susan here, who has an instinct for keeping these women safe, if the viewers out there, you do educate yourself. And we at the Center for the Women of New York, we are certified trainers on domestic violence awareness through the Professional Beauty Association. So I do invite you to visit the Professional Beauty Association's website. Their Cut It Out program has resources for hairstylists and other beauty enhancement professionals, and also do visit your state websites as well. They do have resources on domestic violence, your nonprofit organizations. In particular to New York State has implemented a program for beauty enhancement professionals. New York City has a domestic violence support system as well. So government websites are also helpful in educating yourself. And of course, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is a great resource for everyone throughout our country to educate yourselves, to learn how to help victims of domestic violence, and to learn if you yourself are a survivor, that you're not alone. Thank you, Susan, for this time. Keep up the good work to help survivors. For more information and for domestic violence assistance, which, by the way, may also be referred to as intimate partner violence, please contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline at thehotline.org or 1-800-799-SAFE or 1-800-799-7233 or chat at the website. When opening the hotline.org website, there will be a safety alert. Computer use can be monitored and is impossible to completely clear. If you are afraid your internet usage might be monitored, call the National Domestic Violence Hotline. For more information on domestic violence, please visit our website, CWNY.org, past events, and download our PowerPoint. And again, contact your local and state domestic violence hotlines and nonprofit organizations. It is important that survivors contact professionals at the hotline numbers, whether that's the national hotline or local hotline numbers, because the advocates and counselors will guide the survivors to create a personal plan of action. It is not easy to escape from an abuser. It is not easy to communicate because an abuser generally monitors the survivor's technology. So the advocates and counselors will guide the survivor to create a plan, to create code words to use in their various communications, and we'll start where the survivor is at. Will not automatically suggest that they escape that moment. Of course, if they are in danger for their lives at that moment, they will suggest calling the local police. So please do recommend that survivors contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline or local domestic violence hotlines.